Okay, so now we're going to look at borders and border radius classes. And I just want to say that I know that this part of the course is not like really fun. Doing this stuff isn't really fun, but it's going to drill in your head the different classes so that you can create really cool stuff. And we'll be getting into the project soon. But again, this part of the course is just to teach you the classes. It's not really meant to be like exciting, so I just want to mention that it will get better. So let's go to borders and border radius, and over here we have 8 borders. And let's see, we'll go ahead and just create a div here. We'll say width will be, we'll use 96, and let's add a little bit of margin all around and a little bit of padding, and we'll just use border for this one, and let's say lorem 10 for the content. So just using border is going to give us this light gray 1 pixel border. Now if we want to make that thicker, let's go ahead and just if we want to make that thicker, we could do border -2. Okay, so you see that one's thicker, and then the next one up would be 4, so border 4. There is no 3. If I do border 3, you'll see that it doesn't give me anything. And I actually have the classes down here. So it's 0, 2, 4, and 8. Okay, so we could also do 8. Now, if we want to do colors, we already went over this in the color section, but just to give you a reminder, let's do border 4, and we'll say border -red -500. So that will give us a red border. Now, if you want to have the border on only one side, or maybe you want it on like the top and bottom, what we can do here is we could do like border -x-2. What that does, actually let's do 4, x4. So that will put it on the right and left. Okay, and as you might guess, we can also do border -y and then a width, and that will make it on the top and bottom. Now you might want it just on one side. So for instance, if you want it on the top, we can do border -t-4 or -2 or 8 or whatever, however you want the thickness, but that puts it on top. If we want it on the bottom, we could do border B4, so that'll put it on the bottom. And then of course we can do the right and the left. Okay, so that you can see here, we get the border on the right, then we have the border on the left. Now, as far as the radius goes, we've looked into this a bit as well. So let's do border -4, and I'm going to do rounded. So you can see right here, and just to show you, I mean, you can look down in the comments I have as well, but just to show you from here, we have a border radius of 0.25. Okay, so that's for just having rounded. So if we want that rounded to be a little more prominent, we could do rounded large. So rounded -LG, which is this right here. And we could also do, let's say, rounded -XL and then 2XL. So yeah, we'll say 2XL. Okay, and if we take a look down here at the radius, yeah, so we also have MD as well, and it shows you the sizes right here. So 2XL, there's also 3XL, and then there's full, which gives you this 9,999 pixel. So let's try that. Let's do rounded dash, what was it, full? Yeah, so that's pretty much like a circle. All right, so that's border radius, and then, well, actually, we can do specific sides. So for instance, if we want to do, let's say rounded dash, we'll say rounded dash X dash, and then let's do 2XL. So if we take a look down here, no, that's not right. No, I guess you can't do X, but we can do top. Yeah, so that will be the top rounded, and then of course you could do the bottom. So rounded dash B, 2XL. Now only the bottom is rounded. All right, now we also have outlines, and I believe we looked at this in the colors section as well. But let's say button, we have an outline. So if we just do that and just say click, so that gives it an outline, as you can see down here. And we can also add a color, so I could say outline outline red dash 500, and we can also change the thickness. So instead of just outline, I should be able to do outline dash, let's do 4. Or do we also have to have outline in there? I don't really use this. Yeah, so outline and then outline 4. And then if we want to set an offset, we can do that as well. So let's say outline dash offset, and we'll do dash 2, and that will kind of push it out a little bit. And I should have the classes, yeah, down here. So 0 through 8, and it shows you the number of pixels for the width. Okay, so that's borders and outline and border radius. So next we're going to talk about filters. All right, guys, so next we have filters, which we're going to look at. So let's click on that. We're going to go to 09 filters, index HTML. And what's cool about this is a lot of times it'll save you from having to go into like Photoshop or some other photo editing software where you might want to change up the hue or the saturation or the brightness or blur or any of that stuff. So let's take a look at this. And for the most part, I'm going to use images, but I'll just show you we can use text as well. So if we add a class here of blur-sm, and then I'll just add some text in here, you'll see that that will add a blur to it. And for the values, we have blur none, which is going to obviously have no blur. And then you have SM, you have just blur all the way up to 3XL. All right, so if we wanted to copy this down and set that to just blur, that's going to be a little more blurrier. All right, if we want to add an image here, let's go ahead and just add our image 1, and then let's add a class onto this of, let's do blur-XL. All right, so that'll have a blurred out image. The next one is brightness, and the values work a little different. We don't use like SM and stuff like that. We have these number ranges. And I believe, yeah, brightness 100 is going to be like the default. But if you want it darker, you can use these values. If you want it lighter, you can go up to 200. So let's try that out. We're going to do class, and let's set that to brightness. Let's do just 100 because that's the default, right? We'll use a different image. Let's use image 2. All right, so that's like the default. And then we'll copy this down a little bit. If we want it to be darker, we could use values like 50 and 75. All right, so you see that those are darker. That's the 50, that's the 75, this is the 100. And then if we want to go brighter, we could do like 150 and 200. Okay, so you can see those get progressively brighter. Then we have contrast, which is similar. So let's use image 3 for this, and then we'll add class contrast, and then let's see what we have for values. So we have contrast 0, which I believe we won't be able to see the image at all. So if we save that, yeah, that's gonna, we can't see anything here if it's 0. But let's go to, let's say contrast 50. What other values we got here? Contrast 50, 75. Basically it goes by 25s. So we could do 100, and let's do 150, and then we'll do one more of 200. And you can see the picture of this little robot here. So that's contrast 200, which looks a little distorted, but it's cool because you don't have to go in your, into your photo editor. If you want something to be black and white, you could use grayscale. So let's say we want image 4, and let's give it a class of grayscale. It doesn't have like numbers or values. It's just the class of grayscale will give you this. You can also use invert. Actually, I'll just grab this. So if I want to invert the image, it's going to look like that. Sepia or sepia, I'm not sure how to pronounce this. Let's see, that, again, that's only going to have one class. And that will make it look like this. And I've had to use Photoshop before to do these kinds of things. And obviously, you can use the filter. We're really just using the filter CSS property, but this makes it a little bit easier. Hue rotate, so that'll kind of change the colors around a bit. So let's add here. This does have values. So for instance, hue rotate, you have all these 15. Let's do 15, I think 50. Let's see, 15, no 50, we'll do 60, 90. So 60, 90, and 180. So let's take a look at those. Actually, I want to make that, let's make that image 5. So we get a GPU here. All right, so this gives us like the regular, this is almost like the regular image, the blue, and this makes it kind of purple, kind of pink, green. So again, you don't have to go into your editing software and change the image up. All right, so these can come in useful. All right, so that's it for filters. Now we're going to go into the next section, and we're going to talk about interactivity, because you can have specific classes for like a hover state or an active state, things like that. We'll also talk about things like media queries and breakpoints, Flexbox, the grid. All right, so I will see you in the next section.